everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of the Veterinary Roundtable, the podcast where we answer your veterinary-related questions while having some fun along the way. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to leave us a review on your podcast provider of choice, and if you have any feedback to offer to improve the Veterinary Roundtable, let us know.
On today's episode, we have myself, Dr. Emily King, my co-host, my partner in crime, the hostess with the mostest, Dr. Ashlyn Duckwall.
Hello.
The lady who likes her cats way too much, Devin Fortune. And the one and only Cleveland Browns fan, Courtney Allen. And we have two very special guests. We have one who's just had a few little conflicts, so we're waiting for her to arrive. But right now, we're going to introduce the first guest that's on. She graduated from the National Autonomous University of Mexico in 2020 and achieved all the requirements in order to practice in Canada and the USA as a DVM. She has a special interest in emergency work, and she's very proud and happy to start a life in Kingston with her lovely Australian cattle dog, Bosnia. In her spare time, she loves cooking, being outdoors, and spending time in sunny, beautiful Mexico with her family. Please welcome Dr. Isabel Guzman.
Hello.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Hi. Thank you
I'm
for
so glad to have you here.
Thank you for inviting me, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, we're excited to jump into it for sure.
We're going to introduce Dr. Pardo because she's probably going to show up potentially during the middle of the podcast. So let's go through her intro so we know who she is when she shows up.
She also brought a friend eventually. She's a trailblazing force in the world of veterinary medicine, exemplifying the transformative power of dedication to education. In 2009, she embarked on her journey at the Universidad Mayor Chile, where she laid the foundation for her remarkable career. Her pursuit of excellence led her to the University of Georgia and the University of Florida, where she honed her skills through not one, but two emergency and critical care internships. Driven by a hunger for knowledge, she then pursued her emergency and critical care residency at Cornell University. She's a bilingual ambassador for knowledge and change. As an international speaker, she bridges the gap between cultures, sharing her expertise far and wide. Her prolific contributions extend beyond the lecture hall. She has authored multiple articles and book chapters, leaving an indelible mark on the field. Please welcome Dr. Mariana Pardo.
And we will hopefully see her at some point in the podcast. She'll just show up.
Yeah. And if not, still very impressive.
Still very impressive. I know, right? Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we're going to start off with some icebreakers. We like to just kind of set the tone for the fun. So we'll be interested to also get to know you in this special way because they're kind of off the cuff some questions. So ladies,
are very important.
Take it away.
Fire away, guys.
Okay, go ahead.
God, now I'm nervous.
They're really not that deep. It's okay.
Yeah.
Number one, if you could be a product in a pantry, which would you be?
Ooh, I would be a spice.
Oh, that was quick.
See, it was very quick.
Okay, so why a spice?
Well, I'm Mexican, right? So I definitely need to have some spice in me.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I would be maybe like the chili spice that you love.
Okay. So you like spicy spice.
Yeah.
I just don't like spicy cats.
Okay.
Who does,
Who
really?
does? Who does?
I do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Devin does, actually.
Oh my gosh. Now, being from Mexico, do you like spicy food? Is that a thing? Like, do you really like the more heat, the better?
Yeah, we need to sweat a little bit.
Cry and sweat, and like then it's only.
I like spicy food, but I don't know if I could do that spicy.
Yes, I don't. I can't. I do like spicy food, but I don't like to cry or sweat
I
when
would
I
have
eat it.
like a health concern and have to be rushed to the hospital.
Do you guys have like good Mexican food down there?
Oh yeah, I think so.
I think so.
Yeah,
you know,
there's some that are better than
comparable
others.
to Mexico, but
what'd you say?
I said probably nothing comparable to Mexico.
Oh
but
yeah.
Now I was in Austin, Texas this past weekend, and I ate some really authentic, I feel like, food.
Oh
Really?
yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really pretty good.
Good.
I went to New Mexico and they had some really good food.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love food.
Yes.
I miss it. I miss. Canada is not the greatest for that. I gotta.
Now, do you cook? Then do you cook stuff?
So you see, I have a chef as a partner, so he cooks Mexican food from my family's recipes. So
okay.
Awesome.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is
That
how
was
you
good
do
thinking.
it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Very
That
good
is
thinking.
genius.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I got lucky on that
That's
one.
awesome.
Devin, what would you be? What would you be if you were?
Well, if you recall last time when we tried to film this, I had a really hard time coming up with an answer.
Yes.
So I did a little bit of digging.
In
And
your pantry?
I'm going to set what?
Did you dig in your pantry?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Just
on,
curious.
on the internet for some
I just can
inspiration.
imagine what you're going to say. Okay, go ahead. What are you going to say?
A granola bar.
A granola-
Because stop.
That's complex.
Because they come in small.
Right.
They come in small packages and they're good for hiking.
Small
Oh.
Is that so? That represents you. You
Again.
come in a small package,
Small
and you're
package.
My mom helped a little
you're good for
bit. I
hiking.
love hiking. Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's what you would be if you were at a pantry, is a granola bar,
Everyone loves a good granola bar.
and everyone loves a granola bar.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I get it. I see you. I see
Maybe
you.
a kind granola bar.
Okay, Courtney.
I changed my answer, I think, every time I answer this question. We've answered this question a lot. But anyway, I think I would be a little sweet treat that's hidden like behind everything and that you forget about. And then you're like, man, I really need something sweet. And then you just accidentally come upon it and it makes you so happy.
And you find it.
Huh.
Like, oh, I thought there
That's
were none of
sweet.
those left.
I think I'm using one that I did a long time ago when we had this, but instant mashed potatoes. Because when you're in a pinch and a bind and you need something, you can always rely on the instant mashed potatoes.
So we can always rely on you.
That's right.
There you go.
Yep.
I love
Love
it.
Pretty good.
She's
That's
good for
great. I like
hiking.
that.
We can rely on her. I make Pete things happy. What about you?
I like the things.
I am going to go with something like, I like the versatile answer. That's really, that's good. I'm trying to think. Wait, you know what? I'm going to turn this around. What would you guys say I would be in the pantry based on what you know about me and what's in a pantry? What do you think?
Pop-Tart, you're ready to go.
Oh, okay. I like it.
I don't know.
I have a really good one, but
What?
it's kind of deep.
Okay, tell me.
You'd
I want to know.
Uh-oh.
be like the you would be like the olive oil or avocado oil, whatever
Yeah.
people use to start their meal because you're the foundation.
Oh,
Aw,
that's so sweet.
I
Okay,
love
like
it.
that answer.
I don't have one.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I
I'm just
can't think of
thinking.
anything either.
I
I'm
couldn't
like,
think of
I like
anything for
everything.
myself.
I have one more though. If you want to be something that like makes people mad or upset, you can be the one singular chip somebody leaves in the bag.
Or the empty box.
The empty box of ho-hos or whatever.
Yeah.
What would you consider yourself to be?
In the pantry.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can't
Something-
get by it. You have to answer this.
Something like ketchup.
Mm.
You can use it anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
you
that's a good
live
one.
versatile lifestyle because you don't have to be refrigerated until you're open, so you can see the more scenery.
Boom.
There you go.
That's
the
all I'm
pantry and the
saying.
fridge.
There you go. I'm thinking ketchup.
Okay.
That's my answer.
Maybe
Oh
it's
my
because the red
goodness.
scrubs too. I don't know.
Subliminally, like. All
Okay,
right.
number 2, Court. Take it away.
Okay, number 2 icebreaker. When you put on shoes and socks, is it sock, shoe, or sock, shoe, shoe? Take it away.
Oh my God, you guys just put me on the spot. Because, I understood what you said, but you gotta make sure. Well, I need to remind you that I'm Mexican, so you gotta go slow. Right?
Sock.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Sock, shoe. I guess I do sock, shoe, shoe, sock.
What?
Right?
Wait.
Well, you can't put the shoe on before the sock.
That's true. Maybe I'm not getting it then.
I put
Okay.
my sock on and then I put a shoe on. And
What?
then I put my
No.
other sock on.
I
and
go.
put a shoe on.
I go
No.
left sock, left shoe, right sock, or right shoe.
There's no way you do that.
You put one sock on and then a shoe?
No,
And so
that's
your
weird.
other foot's just chilling naked.
That's
I
weird.
know.
She
Yeah,
says.
nobody does that.
Well, I don't put my
Do you really?
I'm trying to think what I did this morning.
I know it's. I
I
always have
definitely
socks
know
on.
I put a sock on and then a shoe. The question is, did I put the other sock on when I put the first sock on?
That is the question.
I would hope
Do
so.
you even have 2 socks
Why?
on?
Because
Did you forget a sock?
no, I got my socks
Okay,
on.
good.
But I'm pretty sure I put a
I
sock
feel like-
on.
I feel like you slip your shoes on a lot. So do you go sock, and then just kind of like slip in, shoe at the same time?
Shoe.
sock, shoe.
No, I probably did do a sock and then a sock and then a shoe.
Why didn't you think about that and circle back?
Well, you know what I do? Because I don't wear shoes in my house. That's a big rule in my house. No shoes in my house. I don't like it. So my socks are upstairs in my room, right? So I put my socks on. I already have my socks on. if I'm wearing shoes with socks. But then all of our shoes are downstairs in our closet. So then I already have my socks on for however long, and then I put shoes on. So I don't like do it like I don't, and like socks, I have to put shoes on.
I think, guys, I'm pretty sure I put a sock on, then a shoe, and a sock and a shoe.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure I do it that way.
We'll tell Richie to follow you around and take a video.
I'm going to watch tomorrow and see what happens when I do this.
There's
Okay.
rarely a time where I don't have socks on. I always
Really?
usually have socks on.
Oh, I don't. I like
Yeah.
to let
Or
my feet
Crocs.
breathe.
Same.
Or
Yeah.
Crocs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always have
don't like
something on my
shoes.
feet. I always have flip-flops or something.
If I don't have to wear shoes,
Mhm.
I don't. But I hate socks too.
Okay.
You gotta let your dogs breathe.
Was a good one.
Let the dogs breathe.
I prefer to let them collect mold.
Okay.
That's great. Thanks for that.
What'd you learn today on the
I'm
Vet
just
Roundtable?
kidding.
Doug Paul likes mold.
Dustin has mold in between her toes.
I have
Moldy
clean
toes.
feet. But you know
Oh,
what? Even if I
gosh.
didn't, it's none of your business.
You just made it our business.
I wondered what the smell was.
Made it our business. You told us about it.
I just feel like my
Involuntarily.
entire body is cold if my feet are exposed.
Yeah.
Like I'm just cold.
Likewise.
You know
Everywhere.
how much your feet
Yeah,
control?
I don't like to have cold
Your
feet.
feet
I
control
definitely-
a lot. They hold like if you have a headache, you can rub like your big toe.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
agree.
kidding.
No,
Mhm.
I agree with this.
It sounds
like,
dumb. And
there's-
if you're hot, take your
pressure
socks off
points.
and you're cooled down. Your feet do a lot.
your feet do a lot.
Anyway,
There we go.
sorry, that
Okay.
was a tangent.
Okay.
We'll have
Okay.
a podiatrist on next. For
Uh,
puppies.
Podiatrist for puppies.
Aw,
Toby, they don't exist.
I have a sticker that says like Toby and Professional or something. Or yeah, something.
I
like
think that's us then.
something along the lines.
Exactly.
Okay. Enough
get
fun for now. Let's get serious.
into
Let's
it.
get serious.
Yeah.
Let's get to know Dr. Guzman.
Yes.
Oh
Okay.
no.
All right.
No, this is the fun part. So we're just gonna start off simple and just when did you know you wanted to be a veterinarian? What's that history like?
Ooh, that's a good one. Because, like, unlike other doctors, I really didn't grow up in a farm or, like, didn't have much exposure to pets. I think I got, like, 2 pets when I was a child. And one of them, my dad gave it away and told me that he died. And then...
That happens in Mexico too.
Yeah,
that happens in the United States. They went to the
Yeah.
farm. honey.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
all good. Yeah. Yeah.
And then the other one I really, really liked. But then I don't know, we changed houses and something happened, and then the dog also was gone. But I feel like it was always my first choice. Like when I had the age to choose my career, I think that the first thing that I said was I wanted to be a vet in vet med. But my dad said no.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah. So in Mexico, it's actually a little different from the States and from Canada. Even though that we still like have the same profession, we do have a different quality of life. So, which is why I understand my dad saying no to that same thought. He thought that I wouldn't really make enough money, that I really wouldn't have like, and back then, obviously, they growth to support the family and all that stuff. So definitely understand where he was coming from. But that I did another 2 careers before joining VetMed. Kind of did. So I'm very crafty. So I did graphic design and interior designing, which I love.
Oh, wow.
Fun.
Yeah.
But then at the end of that, I was like, I still feel like I need something more. So I had the opportunity to join the Autonomous University of Mexico.
Oh.
And that's how it all started.
That's
so, like,
awesome.
in Mexico, do you go to high school, like what we call high school, which is like grades like 9 through 12, but like, how old are you? Like 14 to 18?
Yeah.
Was that right, guys?
Mhm.
Yeah. 14 to
Mhm.
18 is kind of like what we call high school. And then you go to college from 18 to 22. Is it set up similarly that way or?
No. So you guys I feel like you guys have the 5-3-4 system. Is that the system that you guys have? 5-3-4? We have the 6-3-3 system.
Okay.
So we don't have college.
Okay.
You do your high school, and then you get out of high school at 18,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go straight to university.
Okay.
So I did that with my first career that I
Okay.
didn't finish. So I really went into my university when I was already 24.
Okay.
So I had a
Okay.
big gap. And I
Mhm.
honestly, I don't know how other kids are doing it. Like they choose so early in their
Mhm.
years that it's just like, how do you know that you want to be fully doing this for
Right.
such a, like, like so early?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I went to school in 2014. That's when I started university.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Because like
Yeah.
here, I feel like I don't know. Because like you said, how do you know what you want to do for the rest of your life when you're 19,
Mhm.
20 years old? That's not an easy decision. It's not a light decision you make. But I feel like here, when kids go to college, they change their majors so much
Yeah.
that like you can get like just a business degree and you can use that degree for whatever you want in college. Like you
Mm.
don't necessarily have to like decide exactly what you want unless you know what you want. So I didn't know if it was the same there. If like your universities are set for specific.
Like, do you
Mhm.
decide when you go there
Occupations.
what you're going to be, what your career is going to
Yeah.
be? So you
So that's
can't go in like
like
generally and like take classes and then
no.
decide why you're there. You have to already know.
Oh.
Yeah,
Interesting.
you gotta
Yeah.
be set on your mind of what you're doing.
Oh,
Like
so
same happened for my sister. Like she did the same university, but she did the faculty of psychology. So
Mhm.
we came in the same time, but she went to psychology faculty. I went to vet faculty. So
Okay.
you obviously you take classes at the beginning that are like very basic classes, anatomy, pathology, all that, and then they kind of branch you out to whatever you actually have interest, right? Like for me it was small animals, for others
Mhm.
were more production, more like large animals or public health, stuff like that. That's how my university works with the program, which is the only university in Central America, in South America, that is actually AVMA accredited.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So like you go straight from high school to veterinary school.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Basically is what you're saying.
How long was your education at the Universidad? Was it 4 years, 8 years?
It's 6 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
6
So it's
years.
like the
Okay.
it's like the
Happy
fast track.
medium.
They do that in Europe
Happy
too, right?
medium.
Parts of Europe?
I'm not sure. Do you know, Isabel, do they do that in Europe?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think I had a teammate from the Netherlands, and I'm
And that's
pretty
what they
sure
did?
she was similar, where she was, well, she obviously came here for undergrad and stuff, but that
Mhm.
was another path that she could have done.
Yeah.
Very fascinating.
So,
So it's kind of like my school, like the International Business College. You take some basic classes, but then it's all geared
All
towards certain
towards
careers.
your
Because there
career.
was like vet tech, dentistry,
Mhm.
and then something else there, but that's all you could do there. It
Mhm.
wasn't like a normal college.
Yeah.
Mhm.
where it's more general. Okay.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
kind of
That's very
makes
over.
sense.
That's
I mean,
yeah.
think about like the classes we did in like undergrad.
That
I-
didn't matter.
No, like
Yeah.
it didn't really do anything for my vet career. Like that would
Yeah.
be less debt. We
But
talked
yeah.
about debt on the
Mhm.
podcast. Like,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I only took like 3 basic class, like finances
yeah,
and like 2 other ones, like nothing.
yeah.
They're like a semester each, if
Hmm.
that.
So is the school then, you said it's the only accredited AVMA school in South America, or
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. It's
So
the
do
only
other
one.
people in South America come to that school then from other countries as well?
For some reason, like one of my really good friends back then, he was from Puerto Rico, which I would think that they go to the States to
Right.
study,
Yeah.
right? It's right there. But he said it's very hard to get into the States, like the schools in the States.
Mhm.
And in Mexico, it's the same. Like this university is like a government funded university. So your tuition is 1 peso, which for you guys would be like 50 cents
Oh my gosh.
a year.
Wait, did you just tell me the tuition was 50 cents?
A year.
Yeah.
Because it's run by the government.
What?
Yeah.
I'm
But-
living in the wrong place.
Yeah.
Let's go to vet school.
She's going to say, no, you're not.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
So we're lucky in that way. We're
Mhm.
very, very lucky in that way that we come out of school with no student debts.
I
Mhm.
can't even fathom that.
But obviously the debt is really go to your family, right? I'm not from Mexico City, so I did have to move into Mexico City, pay rent, pay like obviously all the what I needed to survive
Mhm.
and to go through school. So that is the debt that I have with my family, but it's
Mhm.
not directly with a bank or anything like that.
Gotcha.
Sure.
Yeah. But no, we didn't really have many foreign vets or students. It was just almost just 99% of Mexicans.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
yeah. So Dr. Pardo, I know that she did her schooling in Chile.
Mhm.
So if you do your school in an non-ABMA accredited school, you have a different pathway of you have to do more testing, you have to do more examinations, and I think it's like a 5 year of like testing of examinations every year.
Oh,
Whereas
wow.
if you do it with an ABMA accredited school, you get to do the NABLE. And if you pass the NABLE, then you can automatically, you are able to practice in the States, Canada, and Australia.
That is so
Oh.
interesting.
Yeah.
I never even thought about the schooling system like in other
Why
places. That is
Australia?
Yeah.
That's so
insane.
interesting.
Yeah.
I know. Apparently, they also only require an ABMA accredited school, and that you pass
Okay.
your NABLE.
Okay.
So when I just finished and I was like trying to, like test the waters, see where I wanted to go, I reached out to Australia and they said, yes, you're coming from an ABMA accredited university, you have your NABLE pass, you can actually come whenever you want.
Wow.
Huh.
That's cool.
But that's a little far. So
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
yes. Now, why not go back to Mexico?
it's not much of why not. It's just more of why I prefer to stay.
Okay.
So for me, I love Mexico. I'm very proud to be Mexican. It's just a quality of life kind of thing, I would
Mhm.
say, and also career opportunities. In Mexico, because our school is so big and we have a large amount of students, there's a lot of graduates. So we don't have a
Okay.
shortage of vets, right?
Okay.
Whereas
Okay.
Canada and the States, we kind of do.
Yeah.
In Mexico, there's a very famous saying that there's a vet clinic in every single corner. And they have
Okay.
that same.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so we have an overflow of vets.
Wow.
And that definitely affects how successful you are in your
Yeah.
clinic.
For sure.
Yeah, because that's going to drive down.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, pricing
Wow.
and everything else.
Interesting. So I wonder, is there like burnout, people getting tired of the industry in Mexico? Because
No,
there's so many.
yeah, well, it's more competition, I would
Mm.
think, that you're always competing very close by with others.
Mhm.
So let's say you have your fee, your exam fee, the other one will say, well, mine is lower. So there's a lot of competition going on.
Mm.
And we also like now we're getting better and like Mexico is really now taking care of their pets. But a few years ago, the culture was a little different from the culture that we have here in Canada and most likely you guys in the States. So obviously finances are very important. We don't have the same possibilities of like maintaining and doing the best care.
Mhm.
So it changes. I could not tell you that everyone is like that. There's people that they have an amazing a way of providing good services, and we have an amazing amount of like really good referral centers in Mexico City, and it's just culture. I think to me,
Mhm.
it just kind of really relies on culture. But it happens even here in Canada, right? You will
Yeah.
have the patient that is not being taken care of, and so I
Mhm.
cannot really extend that to all the country. It's just that's what I experienced back then.
Sure.
Well, I
Yeah.
feel like we still see it here across the board, right? Like I think
yeah.
it's shifting towards having the thought of they're the fur babies or part of
Mhm.
the family, that shift. I don't know since you've been in the industry the longest out of all of us, like if you feel like it was different back when you started versus now, I don't know.
I think so. I
the
mean, I think,
mindset. Yeah.
I think the mindset has shifted to the pets being thought more of as family members.
Right.
you know?
That has also grown a lot
Mhm.
too.
Mhm.
So I bet that
Yeah.
plays a part
Abilities
in
and
it.
stuff.
It's evolved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that happens everywhere probably
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, for sure.
So do they focus heavily on like spaying and neutering as well and all those
Yeah.
kinds of things? Do they? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, control population. It's our
Mhm.
mindset. Just because we have a lot of strays.
Mhm.
So yeah, we have a lot of clinics. We have a lot of organizations that are on top of that. But we are a very heavily populated country. So it gets difficult, right? Like
Mm.
when you have such a large amount of people, it's complicated to cover that.
Mhm.
But I
Mhm.
think it's getting better. People are being more mindful of pet control and reproductive control. It's just education is a big part of it.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so we're trying.
What do you think are some of the challenges you faced being an international veterinarian, like becoming that and then like being that now?
I guess language would be one of the big ones. I still get like I'm still fully Mexican, so I still have my accent. And
I love it.
And-
I love it. I hope you don't get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's beautiful.
and I get a lot of like I call them squinters because they're like, you know, like
love
they're
it.
like I always get like the half closed eye when I'm talking, like not always, but like most of the times. And I feel like language is it could be a big barrier if you're not comfortable with, especially when you're doing your recommendations and you're having a serious conversation, right? So language would be one of the ones that I struggle at the very beginning. With time, it gets better, easier, and people get used to your accent. Like I have an RBT who literally knows what I'm saying, even if I'm mispronouncing it. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I know what she said," and everyone's like, "I did not understand what she said." Sure, I got it, but I work with her every time, right? So
Mhm.
she now is half Mexican. I call her, but
That's awesome.
but yeah, language is a big one. Obviously, the sacrifices of leaving your family. It's hard not having like the network of like your parents, your sister, your cousins. But it's definitely very rewarding. I could not change it. I love my job. I'm very passionate about it. I love the place that I'm at. So yeah, so those two, I would say the biggest ones.
Yeah.
I would agree.
Did you learn English through just, I guess, through school, or how is it being in Canada now, or?
So I got lucky that I had parents that pushed me to take English classes. They're not mandatory in Mexico. So they have to put you to a private schooling to do English or to take English. So I had English throughout my life. But you know what? Like, it was good. It wasn't great, but I decided to move to Chicago for about 5 months, 5 to 6 months, and that was my English class.
Yeah.
So I lived there for 5 months, and that just completely changed everything. It made me feel more comfortable with English. And then when I came back home, I decided to actively practice that. And then it really, really helped if you get yourself an American partner.
There you go.
That does help. Okay,
Do it.
so if we want to learn Spanish, then
Yeah.
Well, I have a Korean grandmother and I don't know Korean.
you don't know Korean. Well, she
so-
hasn't. Did she teach you?
She was supposed to teach or talk to me in Korean when I was born and she never did.
Gosh,
Well, it's never too late.
I'm just saying we don't.
It's never
speak-
too late,
we
it's just
don't-
harder.
We don't speak great English anyway over here, so
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you don't have to work. It's all
We're
fine.
still
We
working on
Do a
struggle
lot of
with English.
shortening.
I
Y'all.
struggle
There's
with
a lot of
words.
shortening.
Words are
Yeah.
hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do any of you guys know another language?
I mean, I took
No.
Spanish in high school, but
Yeah.
I probably can
Ooh.
form a sentence right now.
Not very much.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
sure
like
that
one
her
word.
English,
Yeah.
your English, was a lot like what we would have taken where you're like, yeah, okay, maybe I understand a little bit more now,
Yeah.
but like, don't ask me to go
Yeah.
talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Exactly.
know, but
I feel
that's
like I
cool.
can pick up words better than I can say
Say
speak it.
them.
And I don't know if that's the
That's
normal.
how I,
I think
am
that's
with
the
Korean.
normal.
My harmony will talk to me in
Yeah.
Korean, and I can understand her like here and there, but I
Mhm.
can't form a sentence.
Yeah.
on my
I think
own.
that's the way it is, though. I think it's
Yeah.
easier to
Yeah.
understand what the other person's than to speak it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes
Right?
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's not that hard to learn Spanish, to be honest. We just have a lot of slangs. Is that the name, right?
Yeah.
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 Slang. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes it harder for you guys to pick up, but it's not that hard. Like a lot of my RVTs, when I have another Mexican doctor with me, so
okay.
when we're working, we're like talking in Spanish.
Mhm.
And my boss always, he gets angry that he cannot understand.
It's funny.
You're too Canadian. But my RBT, she's actually now like picking up on things. I'm like, oh, look at you. We're
Oh.
teaching you something now.
Yeah, that's
Um,
awesome.
But yeah, it's
Yes.
good. It's good.
If I had all the time in the world, I would love to try to be bilingual. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
it's
Mhm.
fascinating. I just think it's
Yeah.
such a good tool to have, like, especially if you like to
Mhm.
travel or anything. I don't know.
You know who's learning Spanish right now?
Who?
Christy Moore.
Oh, she is?
Like hardcore.
Oh, wow.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
One of our colleagues
Yeah.
starting Spanish.
Yeah. Our priest at church knows Spanish. And so he
Oh,
does,
okay.
he talks the whole thing in Spanish. Like if he's doing an event
Yeah.
and, you know, it's like everybody's gathered or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
he'll do it in English and then he does it all in Spanish.
That's really
Wow.
cool.
I
Oh my
know. Every
gosh.
time I listen to him, I'm like, how do you know all that? You do it so well. Like it's like crazy.
That's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Well, I guess if it's parallel, then you know what
Yeah.
you can pick up
Yeah.
on.
On what he's saying.
Yeah.
But it's cool to watch. Yeah.
Mhm.
Nice. Huh. Cool.
yeah.
Okay, where are we at on our
We
questions
kind of
here?
covered like all of those questions in that.
Courtney, what questions did you have that you were because you were shooting them out the other day?
Yeah. I would like to know like your day-to-day like caseload, the like typical cases you see, the typical like illnesses, diseases, viruses, just like how different they are from here if they are.
Yeah.
Or just like what do you like your typical day? You're like here in a day we see ear infection, skin infection, some diarrhea and some vomiting. And like the random illness here and there.
Yeah.
But like what does your typical day look like?
So I guess I'm gonna ask you back.
Yeah.
What kind of clinic do you like? Is it a GP and urgent care clinic that you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would classify
And
it
it's
as
small
that.
animal. We do
Small
small
animal,
animal.
yep.
Because you're in emergency right now, right?
Yeah. So I mean, emergency-ish. Because
Yeah.
we do
Same.
urgent. We don't have
Right?
we don't have 24/7.
Same.
We have
Yeah.
like 8 a.m. to midnight.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 So there's a little bit of a gap for the overnights. We were a couple months ago, but then people leave and blah blah blah. So we need to like reset
Adjust.
everything,
Yeah.
adjust. So my section, like our clinic, is GP and UC, right?
Okay.
So we have
Okay.
4 to 5 GP doctors, and then we have one urgent care doctor, which oftentimes is me or a colleague of mine. So there's only one.
Okay.
And you get 2 RBTs, 1 BA. So we serve the community around us. And typically you start your day, let's say 8 a.m. And you have like block offs. So we normally have 5 to 10 block offs that people just can go straight in there. It doesn't matter if you're a client. You just kind of like, if you're calling and your pet is sick, we can just book you up. It can be just as simple as an ear infection, but also can be something of respiratory distress, a GDB, things that are a little more complex. It will change depending on the season. Right now it's our high season, so we do tend to see a lot throughout the day. I am a junkie for surgeries. Like I love soft tissue surgery. So if you have like let's say another hospital has a foreign body, they will transfer them to us because we are the only urgent care in this city.
Oh.
That's a
Okay.
lot.
Yeah.
It is
So-
a lot. We're not a big city, though. I gotta say that, but a city nonetheless. So we do serve those kind of like emergencies. And then if they need to be hospitalized for overnight, then we will start transferring out of town because we have nothing in town.
What's your
Okay.
closest referral facility, like specialists and
2
stuff?
hours away.
2 hours? Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's requires like a whole different type of practicing. I feel
Yeah.
like when
Because it kind of
don't have
stops with you
access.
sometimes, I
Yeah.
would think, right? Like
Yeah.
you're sometimes the only option.
Yeah, you gotta be creative. I always say, like, as long as they're doing okay and they're not in a critical condition, I say, okay, you go home now and I'll see you tomorrow first time in the morning, and you
Mhm.
get hooked up to fluids again, and we keep on doing that because
Yeah.
a lot of owners are very reluctant to travel out of
Yeah.
town, and I would understand why. When their pet is in actual distress, I would say, like, there's really no option. You actually do
Mhm.
need to go somewhere else.
Mhm.
And I stress that very well. So they know that I'm recommending that because your pet is really not stable.
Right.
Yeah.
And they do it. We do have a really good referral center nearby, like the 2 hours away one, that they will take everything from us most of
That's
the
nice.
times. And we have a really good communication. So they like us, we like them. That helps.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And the other ones are in Toronto, which is 3.5 hours away. So it's more of a ride.
Wow.
Yeah.
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 That's insane.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's wild.
What's your favorite surgery to do?
GDVs.
Oh.
Yeah, I
Okay.
love GDVs.
You
I
see a
think I
lot.
have like 5 of them in my first year of being an emerge
Wow.
vet.
I've
Yeah,
seen
my
a-
boss was like
That's crazy.
blown away. He's like, I have never had one. I'm like, really?
I was gonna say I don't feel like we see
I mean,
a
we
ton
don't get to see them very
either.
often.
I saw
No.
one in the 8 years or 7 years I worked at the clinic.
Is it because of the types of breeds you guys have, like people that are popular up there? Do you feel like?
Yeah, I think we do have a lot of large breed dogs, a lot of farm dogs, so a lot of Pyrenees.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it would make sense. But also I think you guys might be doing more gastropexies.
Yeah. That
Mhm.
could be.
That would make sense.
Okay. Yeah.
That could be true too.
Yeah.
Do you
we
do
try-
do you do gastropexies then too?
I have a colleague who does them. I will do them after we reverse the GDV.
Yeah.
But she does lab gastropexies.
Oh.
So we recommend that part of it for like large, deep chested dogs.
Mhm.
But I find that not many people know about the condition.
Mhm.
Yeah.
At least on the 5 that I got, they have no idea that could happen.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
scary.
So there might be a lack of education in that area
Sure.
that we do better.
Wow.
Do
Yeah.
you feel like you have, like, in your city where you're at, do you have like more clientele that will kind of go all out for diagnostics and care? Is it opposite? Where would you say your city's at?
No, I think Kingston is really good. So we're in the middle of a big city such as Toronto, and
Uh-huh.
also Ottawa, which is obviously another big city. We're right in the middle.
Okay.
So we have a lot. This is a student city we call it, because we have one of the biggest universities in Canada, which is called
Oh,
Queen's.
cool.
Okay.
But we also have a lot of older people that have cottages. Do you guys know what is a cottage?
Well, I mean,
I think so.
I think, unless
Like,
it's
is it
different.
like on the water? Then the
Yeah.
cottage is on the water. Or,
yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because when I came here to Canada, I have no idea. I'm like, what is a cottage? Like, I have no idea what it was. They were non-existent in Mexico. But yeah, so there's a lot of people traveling to this area specifically because we're in the water, that they are retired, so they have their dogs. And most of them follow along with diagnostics, which really helps me because I get to
Yeah.
learn a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Huh.
That's awesome.
Do you have any big illnesses that you see often?
Lyme.
Or like,
Oh, Lyme.
What'd you say?
That
Oh,
makes
Lyme
Lyme.
sense.
disease. Yeah. So
That
in
makes
Canada,
sense.
there's a lot of Lyme disease.
Yeah, we do. We have a
Mm.
lot of Lyme. We have a lot of anaplasmosis as well.
Okay.
So tick-borne diseases is something that we see pretty commonly. Do you guys not see those ones?
I think it's
Indiana. We're in Indiana in the
Yeah.
United States, so we're kind of like Midwestern, middle
Yeah.
United States.
yeah.
I mean, it's here, but it's not like
It's not endemic like East Coast and I guess up there too. I do have like if people go out that way, I'm like you got to make sure either do the Lyme vaccine or
Yeah.
the prevention. So
Mhm.
do you guys, since you see it a lot, do you vaccinate for Lyme or do you
We
just
do.
talk about? Okay.
We do.
Yeah.
We do, and we still see cases, right? Like
Yeah.
we still
Mhm.
will see the cases. It's just the tick population in here is so heavy, even for like
Oh.
humans. Like you gotta be careful and mindful when you're like hiking of like
Okay.
wearing big, like large socks, tall socks, and then kind of searching yourself after doing a hike to make sure that you don't have a tick, because there's like big cases of Lyme in humans in here as well.
Okay.
wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And heartworm. Do you guys see heartworm disease?
We do, but
Yeah.
I never
Not
had
as. Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's colder.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
I don't know.
more northern.
No.
Do you see parvo a lot?
No, and right now it's supposed to be parvo season. I have not seen one case, knock on wood.
Yeah, sorry.
But yeah. Yeah.
Don't be jinxing
I
her.
know. That's not like a super common one you see.
No, I don't. No, to be honest, no, I don't at all.
So kind of going back to international roots and stuff, like what's your favorite part about that aspect? Is it like educating or mentoring or I don't know, like what just having that umbrella of being able to reach out to a lot of people or having that experience? Like what's your favorite part about that?
Yeah. I would say like I really like learning, and
Mhm.
I learn by teaching. That's like my modus. I'm not I will not sit in a single spot like reading books all the time and then like acquire that knowledge. I need
Mhm.
to do, and like I need to practice. So
Mhm.
I tend to do that the best when I'm actually teaching someone to do it. Right. So when I came here and being the only like Mexican vet in my hospital, I got the opportunity to have two really good mentors in emergency. That they were kind of that way. They will put you in the spot. They will ask you questions, and then that kind of gave me a lot of the drive of, oh, I can do the same for others, especially when they're coming from the same like schooling from same country. So two of the doctors in my hospital, they're from Mexico. They studied in the same school than I did. And something that they have said is that they really, really like that I kind of like hold their hands around, like
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
pathway.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult, right? Like I
Yeah.
think I had like a full on panic attack when I just came here, and I'm like, I don't want anybody to feel that same that you're like
Yeah.
left alone. So and I wish, I guess, that the community were like a little closer for foreign vets nowadays, that we have so many, right? Like
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure in the States it's the same,
Yeah.
that you get a lot of colleagues that are not actually from the States. So I think that we just need to bring that community closer and make sure, because we share the same interests and we
Yeah.
have shared the same pathways. So it's just trying to get that extra person, extra set of eyes of say, listen, I went through the same as you. You're not alone. You're supported. Right.
Yeah.
So I feel like that to me is very important. And which is why Mariana Pardo is great on doing that, because she's very active on social media in making sure that we're supporting among among vets. And that we have the opportunity to reach out to specialists as well. Here in Canada, it's a little difficult to reach out to specialists, but because we don't have a lot of referral centers, so it gets harder, right? But the hunger is there. Like you want to learn more, you want to know more. We just need to come closer as a community.
Yeah.
I like that mindset.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful
that's awesome.
mindset to have right
Yeah.
there.
I feel like it's hard for us to get in contact with specialists too sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends on the season that we're in with at least right now, after COVID, really, I think there's a surplus of animals. And then here in the States, not as many vets. And so the tertiary, like specialty centers getting bogged down, things like that. The ER clinics essentially too. So, but anyway, I think it's gotten better, of course, over time. But
do you feel like in general, the international veterinarians feel left out of the mix in general, like from like in at large in the veterinary community?
I think we need to put a little harder into like, you know, like I think that there's a big gap of educating how the pathway goes if you wanted to do that, right? Like when I studied university, I didn't even know what an ABMA accredited school was, right? I had to do a little bit of digging on my own to really come across with, oh, actually my university is already an accredited university, which means that I can actually practice in another country. And also there's a lot of uncertainty on what that looks like. Because we have had in the past people that are like headhunters, that they will come to the university, present themselves as, oh, we're going to give you this great quality of life. You're going to be working as a vet in the States. And the next thing you know, you're working in a farm under somebody else's house. And you're being working like maybe 50 to 60 hours per week. And it got very bad at some point before 2011, that there was a lot of those cases. There were a lot of those cases. So now I get it myself. I have a lot of people that I connect with from my university, and their first question is like, oh, is this a scam? Are they scamming me? Right? Is this true? Is this legit? And I always say, like, it's not as before, but you still gotta do some research. You still gotta be mindful that those people are still out there trying to make their way into convincing you that they're bringing you to some sort of good quality of life. So it gets hard when students are afraid of what the future might look like for them. And that's why I'm always very in touch with my university, and trying to be part of that, and of saying, as long as you do your research and make sure that you have somebody to ask questions, then it should be fine, right? It should be fine. But yeah, that was back then. I'm talking about maybe 10 years ago. Right now, there are multiple big corporates and even small, like family-owned practices that are actively recruiting in my university. And I always say, go ahead, ask questions, be interviewed, set up your standards as a person and also as a professional, right? So I remember that time when I got my first offer, they said, oh, in the email, and I even thought that was a little strange. They said, oh, pass it to your lawyer so they can review it and then get back to me. And that to me was like, what do you mean? Do I need a lawyer?
Yeah.
I don't have a lawyer to pass this to.
Yeah. I'm like, now I have to pay
Pass
a
it to
lawyer?
myself. Okay.
Yeah. Wow, that's
I'm lucky
interesting.
enough that I have a lawyer in my family, which is my mom.
Okay.
Okay. Well, that's good.
A lawyer, a vet.
But like we don't have that. We don't do headhunters. We hunt the job ourselves. So it was a little of a different process. That I get a lot of feedback from the same students that they're not quite certain. Or what is it for them? Are they taking my money? Am I going to be paid less? So, I mean, it is a business at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So, but my main goal always is to make sure that they are feeling supported and that obviously nobody is getting like any advantages, really. You're playing the same field, right? So, but yeah, that's where my biggest passion is for right now.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
When you graduated from the Universidad, did you feel prepared to practice elsewhere? Like, did you feel completely
Do you
set
guys
up
feel?
for?
I certainly did not.
I
Okay.
certainly did not.
Kind of same across
Nope,
the
I
board.
learned that pretty quickly. I was not prepared.
School doesn't prepare
Yeah.
you for real life.
Nope.
Okay.
It's a completely different
No.
ball game when you're doing it.
And that's where
Yeah.
then the language barrier comes
Mhm.
in, because you come out of school and you need to be able to have somebody show you stuff and talk to you through
Yeah.
stuff.
Mhm.
And if there
Mhm.
is a language barrier,
Can only make it
then that
harder.
creates one more thing you got to
Hurdle
jump
to
over,
get
hurdle
over,
you got to get
yeah.
over.
Mhm.
And then how many times are you going to ask to repeat something? Like
Sure.
we all suffer from that, right?
Yeah.
Being in a room and you're asked like, can you tell me that one more time? Can you tell me that one more time?
Yeah.
And it's like eventually you stop asking because you feel like you're being
Annoying.
annoying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that
Mhm.
has to be because you don't come out feeling prepared. So
Right.
you got to be able to like
No.
figure
Yeah.
out stuff, by having somebody else to help you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's
that's
gotta
great.
be so
You're doing that
challenging.
for students,
Yeah. That's wonderful.
No, I totally did not feel prepared. Like not even to be a vet in my own country.
Yeah.
Let alone
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah. So, and we in Mexico, it's a little different the medicine that we practice because we don't have RVTs. We have BAs, I guess, but they don't go to BEA school. And the RVTs are really students from vet med that are
Okay.
killing it. So that would be the main difference. So for me to work with RVTs was a little bit of a surprise. But thank God they are here. I would not be the doctor that I'm here today if it wasn't for them. I remember the first time I got my first case as a solo doctor. It was a diarrhea dog. And I came out of the consult. The client was happy, but I came out of the consult and I'm like, what do I do? And
Yep.
my
Okay.
RBT, that was more like she had a lot of experience under her belt. So she's like, well, what about some probiotics? And I'm like, oh, that's great. Like, yes, that's a good idea. And I felt so bad that she was telling me what to do. But
yeah, we've all been there.
Yep. Yeah.
That's awesome.
but you kind
That's
of forget
hilarious.
that you actually know stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
that's how I started, basically, just trying to ask my RBTs what would they do.
That's awesome.
I still do that. I'm like, what do you think?
What do you think? That's right. What do you think is expected of me right now?
Yeah.
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 Oh my gosh.
All
Yeah.
support system for sure.
Yep. Absolutely.
I have one. I know you said the burnout, I guess, isn't as severe there because it's more competition and whatnot because you're not necessarily understaffed with veterinarians. Do you guys deal with a lot of the mental piece of being in veterinary medicine? Like this, I mean, I don't want to say depression, but it happens. It happens in every field. But do you deal with a lot of that kind of stuff? Or do you see your staff go through it or yourself?
So yeah, that's a really good question. I actually went through it I wouldn't say couple months ago, but about 6 months ago, I had to give myself a good break. I was doing overnights, which whoever is doing overnights, they are my heroes because it's just completely a different style of doing
Living.
vet med.
Yeah.
Living.
Yeah.
I was doing overnights for almost 2 years.
Wow.
And then at the end of it, I was really, really very tired. I was not enjoying my personal life, my partners. It was impacting my physical health. So I decided to give myself a big break. And I stopped working for about 6 months. I left the country. I went to my home and spent time with my family. So yeah, I definitely see it in myself. Now I'm more careful. I'm more minded that I need to have my own time to respect my body as well, and to to allow myself to recover. I think it happens a lot when you're very young in this career that you want to learn so fast. At least it happened to me that I wanted to learn so fast and so quickly and want to be the best and want to cure everything and want to know everything that it backfired. And at some point that I was not taking care of my mental health. So now, after that happened and I decided to come back because, again, I still love my career. I still love my profession. We have shifted the mindset on, yes, we want to be a business, but we also want to take care of our vets. We also want to take care of our RVTs. So we put that now as a priority. Whereas before we were just like, lingering. Oh yes, we'll get to do this. Oh yes, we'll get to do this, until everything just like exploded. So in Canada, it's very hard to get into vet schooling. There are 5 in all the country.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so it's very, very hard to get into that. And on top of that, making a specialty, it's a whole other ordeal. Right. So we definitely have a shortage of vets and RVTs even. So we end up like having to work longer hours per week. So but now we're getting better. We can do so much. We cannot like cover everything. Right. So
right. Yep. Which is hard to understand sometimes, but
but yeah, we're now being more aware of that, and people seem to embrace now that we're not superhumans, right? We still have our needs, and my hospital at least has realized that we need to put people first over numbers, and I feel like to me that's very precious.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you could be open in that kind of situation for days on end and never be able to, fulfill the need. Like there's always going to be another thing, and another thing, and another thing, and another. So like it's like at some point, being like, all right, we need to close from 12 to 8, like you're doing. It's like that's just needs to happen.
The step.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think this was a great conversation.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Very fascinating.
I learned a lot.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was going to learn that much.
Yes.
You shared some awesome information.
Thank you for inviting me. I guess if you guys get a Mexican now, you'll get more comfortable with them.
Yeah.
Right.
We're going to learn Spanish. That's what we're going to do.
Actually, what we're going to do is just have you on speed dial and be like, listen, I need you to talk to Dr. Guzman.
Yeah.
And then she will tell me what I need to be doing.
That's right.
Yeah. It happens all the time. I guess you guys have a big Hispanic community as well, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One of our doctors speaks Spanish.
Yeah.
Dr. Jones.
Dr. Jones,
she's fluent. So if we do have Spanish speaking people come in and they don't really understand English, so they can't get English out, then we have her see that client. It's just easier, but
yeah.
So it'd be helpful to know.
Yes,
well,
absolutely.
thank you so much for joining.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time out of your day.
Thank you so much for the information and being willing to share your story, because I think it just opens up everybody else's eyes as well to the struggles and the challenges, but then also the joy of having you guys as part of the community. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much for inviting me, you guys.
Absolutely.
It was great to meet you all. Hope to see you again soon.
Yes, that sounds good.
For sure.
All right. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Veterinary Roundtable. Remember, send in those questions and be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at the Veterinary Roundtable, like our Instagram and our TikTok, which is at the Veterinary Roundtable.
That's right.
And then also don't forget to use our new texting service that we have which you can see on the episode in your podcast provider. Okay. Yeah. So if you enjoyed this episode or a previous episode, leave us a review on your podcast provider of choice. We'll see you next week for another episode of the Veterinary Roundtable.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you very much, Dr. Guzman.
Thank you.